Ecco the Dolphin is one of those games that I was sort of aware of as a kid, but just never had a chance to play. I think I remember seeing it at the rental store. I never had a Sega Genesis growing up, but would still walk through the Sega aisle at the video store just to see what all I was missing out on. Ecco the Dolphin, huh? So they finally ran out of ideas and made a game based on Flipper. I remember thinking the screenshots on the back of the box actually looked pretty cool though. Ecco the Dolphin was developed by Appaloosa Interactive and initially released by Sega in 1992 on the Sega Genesis, and there was also a release on Sega CD. This went on to become a series of games, although today we're just going to focus on the original game, and I have to say this game is, well, it's definitely its own thing. It's impressive, if not also doggone weird. I've heard all sorts of praise heaped on this game, but I'm going into it totally cold with no emotional attachment whatsoever, so bear with me. You play as Ecco, the aptly named dolphin who was just hanging out with his buddies in the ocean one day when all of a sudden a giant cyclone sweeps up your whole dolphin pod, and now it's up to you to go find them. The rest of the game consists of levels that are one part action, two-part puzzle solving and exploration. You control Ecco as he swims through the ocean, and you can make him swim faster as well as use kind of a dash swim move that acts like an attack. You can use that to blitz through schools of jellyfish or whatever. Controlling Ecco is its own thing, and you'll want to spend some time in the first stage just getting a feel for swimming around. Honestly, the play control will make or break you for this game. It's not terrible, just takes some getting used to. On the one hand, just swimming around with Ecco is actually a lot of fun and kind of relaxing, especially with the game's trippy, hypnotic soundtrack. Doing jumps and flips at the water's surface is really cool and satisfying. I seriously spent 20 to 30 minutes just goofing off in the game's opening stage. There's no time limit, so you can just kind of hang around. But trying to get Ecco to jump to specific areas, like over obstacles or whatever, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Why can't I get over that? Occasionally stages are divided up by these little areas that you have to jump over, and sometimes it feels like I'm just wasting more time than I should be trying to get these jumps just right. You have a health bar and do take damage, but you also have an oxygen meter because dolphins gotta breathe, man. You've either gotta swim to the surface or find these little underground pockets of air to replenish your oxygen supply, which can occasionally force you to swim at a much more hectic pace. On the one hand, you'll want to be taking your time exploring the area, looking for clues, but other times you'll have to hustle around enemies haphazardly trying to remember where the last air pocket was. You've also got a sonar ability. The manual refers to this as your song. If you press the A button, Ecco will sing, and this has a couple of uses. If you press and hold it down, the song will reverberate back to you, giving you a small glimpse of your surroundings, although you can only see a small portion of the level at a time. I wish it had some sort of a feature more along the lines of Super Metroid where it filled out a full-fledged map as you go. It can get a little confusing keeping track of where all you've been, and some of the stages get pretty complex. The other use for the song is speaking with other dolphins or random killer whales that are just chilling. They'll offer up clues about your missing dolphin pod or just random stuff about the game. And you can use the song to interact with these blue crystal looking things. The manual calls these glyphs. Sometimes these will just give you random information, other times they act as keys that you can use to unlock and move other glyphs that are in the stage which may be blocking your way. A big part of finding your way around is having to find one glyph and interacting with it so that you can then move another glyph somewhere across the stage and eventually find an exit. That sounds simple enough, but sometimes if you get disoriented and have to backtrack, the glyph that was blocking your way will just reappear, and then you've got to find the key glyph again and interact with it. I don't know, I found this to be a little tedious. There's a few other things that I could take or leave. Along with schools of jellyfish always getting in the way, sometimes there's parts of the underground caves where the air current is too strong for Ecco, and maybe you've got to find a rock, knock it off the ledge, and then swim behind it so that you can proceed against the current. Or maybe you've got to maneuver a shell in just the right way so you can knock some of the rocks out of your way and proceed through a tunnel or something. All of this sounds easy enough, but the awkward play control I mentioned before can make this all more annoying than I feel like it should be. Like, I know what I have to do here, I've solved the puzzle in my mind, and I feel like I'm giving the correct input. You're the one screwing this up, Ecco. That's a you problem. It sounds like I'm complaining, but actually there's really a lot to like about this game. Like I said before, it just takes some getting used to. I really like the graphics. The underwater backgrounds are beautiful to look at, and there's a subtle lighting effect where it gets a little darker the further down towards the bottom you go. Also, the soundtrack is quite good. It's just kind of a chill experience. I also really like the exploration and puzzle solving aspect of this game and just kind of not knowing exactly what's going on. It reminds me of something like Out of This World, where you're just really not sure what's going to happen next. One minute you're rescuing some dolphins that got lost, and the next minute you're time traveling 55 million years into the past, and then, well, who knows? This thing totally goes off the rails. But finding out a little bit more about the story is your reward for solving the puzzle in each stage, and I'm hesitant to say too much more about this game since I don't really want to spoil anything. But that play control is just a little off. Maybe it's just because I'm not used to it. I kept wanting it to be more fluid and responsive, like swimming around on the swordfish in Donkey Kong Country, which is absolutely perfect. Anyway, this game goes for pretty cheap. If you want to play on original hardware, you should be able to pick it up for under 10 bucks, and then there's other releases too. PS2, Game Boy Advance, it's on the Xbox Live Store, heck, you can pick it up for $1 on Steam. So I'd say this is a game you kind of have to try for yourself to see if you like it. It's definitely worth checking out though if you're looking for something completely different without breaking the bank. As always, thank you for watching. Please don't text and drive, and I'll see you next time on Friday Night Arcade.